Alright, so let's start on the HTML for our quiz. Title will say Quiz App. And essentially what we're going to do is just have a placeholder, kind of a placeholder for a question. It'll be an H2, we'll give it an ID, and then we'll have a bunch of radio inputs for the answer, and those will also be placeholders. And then later on when we get to the JavaScript, we will replace the placeholders with the actual questions and answers, and we'll use that as basically as like a template for each one, and then we can have as many question answers as we want. So let's start off by just creating a quiz container, and I'm going to give this an ID of quiz, and then we'll have a class of quiz header, and inside here we'll have our question, which is going to be an H2 with an ID of question. And I'm just going to, like I said, put a placeholder here. We'll just say question text. And then under that we'll have a UL with some list items, and each list item will have a radio input, not radius, radio input with a name of answer, and then the ID is going to be A for this one. And let's see, we also want, let's do class of answer, and that should be good. Then underneath it we're going to have a label. 4 is going to match the ID of the input, which is A, and let's also give this an ID of A underscore text, because we're going to insert the question in here. We'll just say question for now. So basically we just want to copy this, and each question will have 4 answers, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just want to change some of this stuff. So the second one, so we want the name to be answer for all of them, but the ID is going to change, so that's going to be B, and the 4 attribute on the label as well is going to be B, and then the ID here is going to be B text. And then we want to do the same here, so let's go here, here, and here, and let's change that to C, and then we'll go here, here, and here, and that's going to be D. Okay, and then we want a submit button. That's going to go outside of the header, so right here, and let's add a button. We're going to give this an ID of submit, and we'll say submit. Alright, so it doesn't look very good right now, but we're going to go ahead and add the CSS, which isn't too bad. So let's jump into our style sheet, and we're going to use the Poppins font. So I'm going to say, let's see, CSS2 question mark family, and let's set this to Poppins, and then let's do a weight, so WGHT, let's say at, and then 200 semicolon 400. I'm going to change the body font to that Poppins. Alright, so we also want a background color on the body, so let's set that. Background color is going to be hexadecimal value B8 C6 DB. Okay, and then let's add, actually that'll be the background color. We're going to use a gradient, a linear gradient for browsers that support that, so let's use background image and set linear gradient, and we'll do 315 degrees. And the colors for this, the first one, let's do hexadecimal. Actually, it's going to be the same color here. So we want to do that at 0%, and then comma, and the next color will be F5F7FA to 100%. So it gives it just a little bit of a gradient look. And then we have our flex box. We can get rid of flex direction column, and let's see, align items, that's good. The rest should be okay. So now the quiz container, which wraps around everything, So for that, I'm going to set the background color to white. And let's give this a border radius of 10 pixels. And let's do a box shadow. So for box shadow, we'll do 0, 0 for the offsets, 10 pixels, 2 pixels, and then RGBA. And the color will be 100, 100, 100, and then for the alpha value will be 0.1. Okay, let's set a width here as well of 600 pixels. And then I'm going to set an overflow of hidden so nothing goes out of the container. And then for the header, remember this whole part is the quiz header, and then you have the button below it. So let's say for the quiz header class, I want some padding, and we'll just do 4 rem, which is going to be 4 times whatever the root HTML elements font size is. And then for the H2, which is the question, we'll style that. Let's do padding, we'll do 1 rem. And let's do text align to the center and get rid of any margin. And then for the UL, we don't want any bullet points, so let's set list style type to none. And let's set padding to 0. Okay, now for the list items, say UILI or ULLI, and I'm going to set the font size to be a little bigger. Let's do 1.2, 1.2 rem, and then we'll set the margin on that to be 1 rem on the top and bottom, 0 on the left and right. And for the label, so ULLI label, I just want to make the cursor into a pointer. All right, so if we hover over these, we get our, our pointer. So last thing we want to style is the button. So we'll just grab button. Let's set a background color, and that's going to be 8E44AD. And then let's take away any border, so we'll set border to none. Let's also make the color of the text white. And we want to display this as a block level element. And I want it to go all the way across, so we'll set the width to 100%. And let's make the cursor into a pointer. Whoops. And for the font size, I'm going to make that 1.1 rem unit. And then let's see, for the font family, we just want to inherit, so that we use that Poppins font. And then the padding for the button is going to be 1.3 rem. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now for the hover, say button, and when it's in its hover state, I want to change the background color, and I'm going to change it to 732 D91 on hover. Okay, so it's just a little darker, and then I want to get rid of, see this outline when it's in its focus state. I want to get rid of that, so let's say button in its focus state. Let's set the outline to none, and I'm also going to set the background color to 5E3 and 370. All right, cool. So the CSS is done. We have basically just a template here that we're going to use, and in the next video we'll have our questions in a JavaScript array, and we want to basically replace it. We want to be able to have a correct answer for each question and check that. We want to be able to submit and load the next question, so we'll get into that next.